With these topics, and Jonathan, you write the lyrics. Do you then go to Alex and the rest of the band and kind of discuss what you want to say in the song?
No, I'm pretty cagey about it, pretty secretive, and they tend to find out at the last minute, or sometimes I'll give them the lyrics, stuff like that. But no, I'm very private about it. I don't know, self-esteem or self-belief, I don't know. I never think they're very good, or I think that they won't understand them, or no one will understand them, and they always do, and it's rare that they ask me to make changes. Okay. But it's very difficult to get over that hump of keeping it secret.
And Alex, for you then, well, what song or what bit of lyric or were you impressed by that he brought to it?
Well, this will be good.
I don't know.
Or surprised by
Alex hates lyrics.
I mean, for me, I've always been more into just making sure the music's really good and just kind of melodies just good. I mean, I was most happy like when we did Warm Healer, like when I just sort of turned in a piece of music to John, and then the next day it was like this amazing thing on top of it, and it's just. It does amaze me how good John can be at writing melodies.
And then, well, about the music then, because I believe for Ark you wanted to strip things down a little bit. And
yeah, we talked about it. I don't know if we ever actually did it.
No, we did try.
Oh, lyrically and
no, but also
stuff.
Musically.
Well, yeah. Musically, but then also because in our previous interview, or your interview with us, you said that you felt you were talking too much on the record, on the first record, you were too much.
I think Man Alive had that kind of like young band thing going on where everyone must play all the time and the singer must never stop singing.
Yeah.
And it was just kind of like a bombardment. I think we went the other way with Ark as a kind of like reaction to that.
So now with the third, then is it easier to find a balance between?
I think we sound comfortable. I think we kind of feel like we know what we're doing much more in terms of it being players, being arrangers. Every role really. I mean, we've definitely still got more to learn, but there's more space for things to happen. There's more breathing time. There's moments of intensity and there's less intensity. And
I think we kind of we very much discovered, during the first two records what our band is kind of about, what we do. I think the third record just seems to be far more kind of like acknowledging the stuff we're good at and just doing it, and I think it's the first record we've made that I feel like that's really done, like we've closed the book on a bunch of stuff on that record that's just kind of finished ideas.
This might be an impossible question to answer, but how would you define what you've now become, or what you are?
Yeah, it is hard to describe. It's more a question of we tried to kind of change ourselves after the first record. The first record we didn't really know what we were doing, and no bands do. And I was sort of this weird singer, I was this weird guitarist, and we wrote these weird songs, and it all kind of fell out of us. And then we tried to sort of smarten up in the second record and straighten ourselves out and not be so weird, and the song's not so weird, And then we found that wasn't really working for us either. In the third one, we just thought, fuck it, we'll do exactly what we think is good with a few rules. And that's what we did, really. And so you get songs that are quite unconventional, but they'll have a conventional structure, or they'll have a conventional lyric at the right point, or all these little things that we wouldn't really let ourselves do in the past because we think it was cheesy, or we wouldn't let ourselves do it because we thought it was too weird. Now we're like, well, fuck it. Do we think it's good? Yes, let's do it. And it's just less worrying and less trying to change ourselves. So you can hear it in how comfortable we sound, I think.
Is that part of the acclaim or the success that the previous two records have received, that you are a bit more free, or there is a little bit less pressure to...
I don't know.
I don't know. We always feel the same level of pressure because we don't sell any records.
Yeah, we're not one of those. I don't know. We're just sort of. I think we have put a lot of pressure on ourselves because we want to be good. I think if for one moment, if I was playing anything that I thought was like not kind of the best that we could be doing, then I'd feel disappointed. You're like, why are we doing it if we're not going to be like the best at what we do?
What is is there one thing in this process that or a moment where you as a band grew as it were to a point or a thing where we think, oh, now,
Yeah,
now
lots
we've
of-
improved?
There was a big step difference from the second and third record in that Alex started writing songs just straight up. That didn't happen before. We would write bits together, but now he's writing entire songs, giving them to me, and I'll sing on them. So that was a huge step in the story of the band. Definitely, it's changed my writing world completely. I've got another brain. It's amazing.
How does this affect you then in your songwriting?
It's incredibly freeing because if he gives me a song and I could just sing whatever I want over the top of it, I just get all this new material just out of nowhere, and I don't have the attachment to it, so I don't feel like I have to do anything in particular. I can do what I want as long as it's reasonably appropriate. Usually when you write a song, from the first note of it, you're kind of like, well, I'm probably going to do this with it by the end, and then I'll probably do this, I'll probably do this. But with this, it's just like, well, whatever, and it's really, really freeing being a singer. You can just let your mind go free, and you have to worry about how am I going to play this and sing. It's just like, Alex has got everything down, it's sorted, I can just do something sweet over the top, and it really frees me up and makes me do better stuff.
Same question as earlier then, what was something, or maybe a riff or part of a song that Alex brought to the table that you were impressed or surprised by?
Oh, well, he's written like 5 songs, so I think Warm Healers is a great piece of music, really unusual, and for ages we just kept listening to the demo just for months on end, and he was tweaking it the whole time, and then we finally came to recording it, and it was just like, no one's allowed in the room kind of thing. I was just like, this has got to be perfect, and it's great to see somebody really passionate like that. It's nothing worse than when no one cares, and he really, really, really cared about that song, so it was really good to work on it with him.
One thing I also read is that the way you describe it now, it sounded like a fun process, but it was at times hard, right?
I think it was harder for the 2 guys that aren't here.
Okay.
I'm not speaking for Alex here, but Jeremy certainly likes to say that it was difficult, and that's probably because I was very uncommunicative and stuff like that during the process, and we tend to fire on with the creative stuff, and the other 2 guys are often a little bit left out, I think, in terms of some of the studio processes, because we're both into our technology, and we're primary writers in the band, etc., etc. So I think that sometimes we can race off down a path before everyone's on board. I think that happens quite a lot. But it was quite difficult in terms of just the writing, the sheer amount of work we did. We wrote so much, we kicked out so much. We really put pressure on each other to write more.
You kind of lose your mind, and towards the end of it, a whole year of like, really, what you're talking about is, the amount of hours you've put in just to make sort of 11 songs.
Yeah.
It's like by the end of it, you don't know what's good and what isn't anymore, and you do kind of feel, you do get jaded. I mean, it's like, imagine listening to a song every day for a year that you really like. At the end of that year, are you going to even know what it sounds like anymore?
Yeah, I mean, there were definitely
that kind of feeling.
There were periods during the making of it when I probably said to people, "This is awful. There's nothing good on here. This is the worst thing we've ever done." And then a few weeks later, this is the best thing we've ever done. Every track's amazing. And your head just does that.
So you need that separation.
Yeah, you can't possibly really know. You just got to trust your kind of younger self. Like 6 months ago, I thought that was good, and now I haven't got a fucking clue.
Yeah.
And well, you mentioned not communicating that well. Is that part of all the subject matter that kind of is then in your mind, or is it born out of that?
I don't know. It's probably just a personality trait, or a way I work or don't work. No, it does. Feelings like that do grow when you're in that situation and you're unhappy with the process, or you're stressed or something. I think that can.
Yeah, it can be bad.
It makes everyone communicate badly.
And then then that's the sort of thing that would start like, sometimes you'd have a week and it was just kind of makes the atmosphere kind of, people start getting at each other, and then you end up not getting very much done, and you go home at the end of the week and you're like, oh man, hope next week's better, that kind of feeling. And then it was tough. It wasn't like last year was. I think that's what Jeremy, particularly, and Michael, they always say it was really tough making a record. It was for that. I think it was for that reason, really. Wasn't the music was fine. I think it was us putting each other apart by
Yeah.
You know, John is a very sort of sad state. You know, and it was tough.
And so that at the end, then, when the process is finished, is that a very liberating moment?
Yes, but you never know when it comes, because you finish the music and then it's got to go mastering, and then you finish the artwork, and then you've got to put the first single out, you've got to do the first video, and it's just like you never feel like it's done. We're not done yet. Because,
like you said, there is a certain limbo, if you will, until you start playing the songs live, between finishing and playing live. So how do you approach or perceive the album in that period? Is it?
It's just like something you really want to give to everybody and say, here it is, we've done it. Or you've got to wait and do everything properly, and it can be really frustrating sometimes. I think.
Okay, finally, I've written a couple of lyrics down of certain songs.
Sure.
In Regret, there's a line that is, first you'll see me on the news, then never again. What inspired this line?
I wanted to sort of riddle the whole album with the idea that I was going to do something bad, or going to do something big, and that the album would kind of be like the clues that people look back at afterwards and kind of go, he was always going to do this. And that's a way of kind of saying, like, you'll see me on the news tomorrow. You know, people do it on the internet sometimes. Don't go into school tomorrow. It was meant to be a bit like that. First you'll see me on the news, and then I'm out of here, or I'm going to die, etc., etc.
It's sort of a character, isn't it?
Yeah, it's playing a character, and I wanted to open the song with this very, very provocative line. It's like, well, what the fuck? What does that mean? Like, something's going to happen. I wanted the feeling of like, shit, what's about to happen? And that should be happening the whole way through the record, like something's coming.
Because, in the beginning of the interview, you mentioned the fans reacted to the subject matter. So have you gotten reactions to this line?
Most people think it's about going to join ISIS, because a journalist said that very early on, but it's not really at all. And some people think it's because I'm going to be famous. People don't always understand exactly what I meant, but I wouldn't want them to. If it was really, really obvious, then
the song was as simple. It was just about regret. It wasn't like
exactly.
It wasn't about like anything in particular.
No,
but it can be applied to many things.
It could be, and I just wanted to put little clues in it, rather than it being specifically about a certain set of events or anything like that. It's just kind of like, I feel bad about what I've done. I'm about to do something worse, or something like that.
And then you say that there is a certain tension that builds up through the album.
Yeah.
What, if anything, were you building up to?
Oh, just some undisclosed acts of violence, I guess you could say. Something, some kind of like flashpoint moment.
It's more of
the feeling
of like being,
I'm building up, something's going to happen.
Something about to explode kind of feeling.
Yeah, exactly.
That's actually what's, that's the place the album is placed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's on the rise of something.
It's the feeling of something is about to happen, and everything's pointing towards it. All the signs are there, but you don't. I don't know what it is. So you don't actually do the thing in the album. The last song just goes.
Then there was one more line. It's no reptiles. I'm going to kill a stranger, so don't you be a stranger.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
It's the same thing.
But there's this phrase, don't you be a stranger, which means come around and see me more often, be a better friend to me, kind of thing, which doesn't translate quite as well. But it's obviously I'm using this stranger line to connect the two. So it's I'm going to kill a stranger, but then he says, so don't you be a stranger, which means both, don't be a stranger to me, or I might kill you. But it also means please be a friend to me, see me more often, come round to me. So it's got this. It's actually slightly more positive than it sounds.
It's sort of a plea for help.
Yeah, don't you be a stranger means please come and see me more often.
And then you mentioned that in respect to the second album, this album feels a bit more personal, even though
yeah.
So something like this, is that autobiographical, or is that something that comes out of yourself?
It couldn't possibly be. But if I think personal's the wrong word. I feel more in touch with that emotion of anger, and it feels closer to me, and it's a fire as opposed to Arc, which is more like a sleep or a droop. This is more like a fire. Yeah, both personal, both impersonal.
That's a good note to end on, I think. Thank you
Cool.
very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Thank you.